Oh, that Edison that invented the candle?
Yes.
hmm The predecessor of the Thomas Edison that invented the incandescent light bulb?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to want fresh water in every city of the United States,
Yes.
and I'm going to want to remove anything and everything that is unnecessary to accomplish that.
Yes.
That includes every employee that is unnecessary. I'm going to want to create some efficiencies in the water supply
Yes.
and the sewage treatment
Yes.
that removes all sewage.
Yes.
As in, we're going to incinerate all the shit.
Yeah.
Now, as much as, oh, we're going to do it. Now, there's what's known as an injunction.
Yeah.
It's a court order. I've had a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's directed to a particular person known as the respondent,
Mm-hmm.
commanding him not to do one or more specified wrongful acts.
Yes.
It's called a protection order.
Order.
It's a different way of looking at the injunction known as a protection order.
Yes.
hmm See, it commanded me not to do one or more specified wrongful acts.
Yes.
The restraint provisions. Oh, it's really an injunction. If you thought of a protection order as an injunction.
Yes.
Now, infrequently, the order will require the person to do something to restore the pre-suit conditions. Now, I've been commanded to not violate the restraint provisions of protection orders
Yes.
since July 2nd of 2011. And since I didn't get a dissolution of marriage and I'm wanting to get a divorce today,
Yes. Yes.
I don't know the restraint provisions. Hmm. Mandatory injunction. In either event, the command is intended to prevent serious damage that could not be fully remedied if it happened.
Yes.
Now, there's some prevention of some serious damage
Yeah.
that could not be fully remedied if that damage did happen.
Yeah.
Let's say there was some damage.
Right.
I was to die.
Ouch.
Could be a lot of estate taxes.
Yes.
Could be some sort of question about the actual ownership of intellectual property.
Yes.
There could be the idea of my sons having to reside with my wife unnecessarily
Yes.
because she didn't give it right now. The act or acts that are forbidden or required are detailed in the injunction.
Yes.
Now, these forbidden or required acts or acts that are detailed in the injunction,
Yes.
there might be some of those act or acts in the dissolution of marriage.
Right.
Now, you as a court would say, well, Paul,
Yeah.
I'd say, well, we have to get a dissolution of marriage from the United Nations.
Yes.
And I have to make sure that my wife is forbidden from ever receiving any sort of compensation from any of my intellectual property.
Mm.
The intellectual property that we discussed while we were married, those 10 years.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
And then any intellectual property that she might have seen in any of the videos that I've made.
Oh.
Now, let's say I need an injunction today. The person must be given notice of what the court has commanded. If he does not obey the injunction, the court may fine or imprison him for contempt of court. Now, I've been arrested numerous times for contempt of court
Yes.
for the accusation of violating the restraint provisions of a protection order
Yep.
that is a form of an injunction.
Yes, it is.
And as much as you say, well, Paul was in
Squim right now.
Paul was in Jefferson County. The truth of the matter is, I could have been found in contempt of court, even though I didn't get any notice of court hearings.
Yes.
Let's say that you did find me guilty.
Yes.
It'd be difficult because I wasn't there.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
But the judge really throws a book at me and says, Paul,
Yes.
you were here when we issued this. I wasn't there. How do you find somebody in contempt of court without proof of service?
Ouch. That's going to be a big one.
Now, why don't you get me the contempts of courts in each and every court of the United States? See, there's the failure to appear for an arraignment.
Ouch.
Contempt of court.
Yes.
Failure to appear to explain to Judge Porter when requested why it was I wanted to reschedule mental health evaluation. Then there's no proof of service when issuing every one of the protection orders.
Yes.
Or can you not find me in contempt of court without proof of service?
Yes.
there could be a large number of lawsuits in this. Ah! It might be one of those very large. See, here's the problem. Let's say you arrested me and served me a copy of the summons for the petition for dissolution of marriage.
Right.
I get out of jail and you renewed for 1 year the protection order.
Yeah.
You said,
Right now.
now, can you
Yes.
find somebody in contempt of court that does have proof of service, that does appear in court,
Yes.
violates the restraint provisions,
Yes.
and then you, as the judge, said, well, you're in contempt of court
Because you were here when I told you don't do that.
now maybe you've been obstructing the right of the judiciary to find me in contempt of court because you don't have proof of service. In the event that damage to person or property is likely to occur before a full hearing can be held, the court issues a temporary injunction known as a temporary protection order.
That's right.
The permanent injunction, known as the permanent court order,
Yeah.
are issued only after the court has conducted a full hearing and decided the case. You know what I'm thinking? It's another $100 billion
Yeah.
for refusing to acknowledge the right,
Yes.
the obligation of having proof of service before having court hearings, so that I could appear in court because I had notice and opportunity to be heard, so that you could find me guilty of violating the restraint provisions or any of the conditions of dissolution of marriage when you intentionally don't have the right to contempt me of court.
Yes. Because I did